What's up, Taiwan? Good evening. I'm Erika Liu with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. An American congressional delegation has made a brief visit to Taiwan less than 2 weeks after the arrival of U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi met with a furious reaction from Beijing. While Taiwan thanked the United States Congress for its firm support for Taiwan, China has announced more military drills following the latest visit.
The five-member delegation led by Democratic Party Senator Ed Markey met with Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen on Monday. The presidential office says they talked about deepening cooperation on regional security as well as trade and investment.
对于马基主席坚定支持台湾的情谊，我致上最深的感谢。前一阵子，中国在台湾周边海域进行长时间的军演，也严重干扰区域的稳定和平。
Beijing stepped up its military pressure on Taiwan in the wake of Pelosi's visit. The speaker was the highest-level American official to set foot in Taipei in 25 years. China claims Taiwan as part of its territory and says the latest visit is interfering in its internal affairs. The ruling Democratic Progressive Party welcomes the show of support from the United States.
他们这次的访问，在时间点上是非常重要，而且有重要意义的。 因为中国军演的目的就是要吓阻其他的美国的国会议员到台湾来访问，他们来台湾访问也再次证明了不是中国可以来指使或要求别的国家的政治人物能不能到台湾访问。那同时，它也展现就是美国人民跟台湾人民站在一起这样的一个重要讯息。
Although China later announced that it had ended its military drills near Taiwan, after the latest congressional delegation left on Monday, the Chinese military released a new video claiming it had conducted yet another exercise, this time near Taiwan's outlying islands of Penghu. Rick Yi, Louise Watt, Yujing Huang, and Andrew Ryan for TaiwanPlus.
For more on this story, TaiwanPlus reporter Louise Watt spoke to Ye Yaoyuan, chair of the Department of Political Science at the University of St. Thomas in Houston, Texas.
A five-person delegation led by a Democrat senator, Ed Markey, is in Taipei. What is this delegation's particular interest in Taiwan?
The number one leading posture, I would say, of this delegation visit is to consolidate the U.S. support for Taiwan. This delegation, led by Senator Ed Markey, within these sessions of the Senate, is going to propose a Taiwan Assure Act and at the same time the Taiwan Fellowship Act. Taiwan Assure Act plan to provide a National Guard in assisting the joint training with the Defense Department of Taiwan in order to fortify its defense capability against China. And at the same time, the Taiwan Fellowship Act is going to provide funds for the U.S. officials and U.S. delegations to Taiwan to be trained for languages. So both of these acts, if approved, would be another landmark symbolizing the support from the United States to Taiwan.
Taiwan's trade envoy says they're going to start talks in the next few days with the United States on a trade initiative. The United States and Taiwan announced the U.S.-Taiwan Initiative on 21st Century Trade in early June. It's aimed at developing their economic and trade relationship, but falls short of a free trade agreement. Taipei sees the initiative as another important sign of support from Washington. 9 Taiwanese victims of human trafficking are back home after Thai immigration rescued them from their captors. But Taiwan's government says it's received hundreds of calls for help from others who have been lured overseas by false promises of good jobs. As Jean Van Trieste reports, at least some of the traffickers appear to be fellow Taiwanese.
Sunday marked the end of an ordeal for 9 Taiwanese held captive in Cambodia. Their captors had planned to sell them and put them on a plane out of Cambodia under guard. But during a layover in Thailand, immigration flagged the group and the plan was foiled. 3 traffickers acting as guards are also Taiwanese. They've refused flights home and are in Thai detention. The 9 rescued victims are just the tip of the iceberg. Taiwan's police agency believes thousands of Taiwanese are being held abroad, many of them in Cambodia. The foreign ministries received 340 calls for help from the country, but the police agency says as many as 5,000 could be captives there. They are enticed by the promise of high-paying jobs. As one victim who escaped in June recounts, they are put to work, but under conditions much different than they were promised.
上班的时候就是随时有电梯放在后面，就是如果有人打瞌睡还是什么，就是直接被电。还有宪兵就是可能会站在附近，然后如果他们就是不乖还是什么的话，就是可能会受到教训。
The victims can be resold at will, and if someone escapes, those left behind are punished.
目前不一定能手肉消息还是什么，他直接再把你转卖的话，那些人也是找不到我台湾人，然后被园区知道，就是把他们饿个4-5天。
The cabinet and police agency have set up task forces to help get victims home. But police now know Taiwanese are not just victims, but suspects. And their goal is to make sure they face justice here in Taiwan. Patrick Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Some of the people who are most vulnerable to human trafficking comes from Taiwan's indigenous minority groups in remote parts of the country. Police in the southern county of Pingdong say 27 people from the county have been lured to fake jobs in Cambodia in the past year. Of these, 14 came from indigenous townships. In some cases, they told their family that they were moving to the capital, Taipei, for work. Relatives only learned they were no longer in the country when they were unable to contact them. Pingdong police are working to track down the missing persons. They have also gone to indigenous communities to urge people to be aware of the dangers of trafficking groups. India on Monday marked the 75th anniversary of the country's independence from Britain. In recent years, Taiwan's been making a diplomatic push to boost ties with India. Both democracies face military threats from China. Ryan Hill-Kilpatrick spoke with Priya Lee Lalwani, a professional interpreter and founder of the group Indians in Taiwan, to find out more about the community here.
Why is today so important to Indians?
It's the day that India got its independence from the British rule. It had been a very hard-earned process for India to earn its independence. We also lost part of India, which became East Pakistan and West Pakistan during this time. So it's a very, very important part of history, and it's something that all Indians really appreciate, all of the people who sacrificed their lives for it, and we celebrate what India has been able to achieve in the last 75 years of independence.
And how is the relationship between India and Taiwan right now? Do you think the two countries are starting to grow closer to each other?
Yes, I do think they are. It started a couple of years back, I would say, when it was the Milk Tea Alliance, and there was a lot of camaraderie between India and Taiwan, with the Twitter posts being exchanged with President Tsai and some of the Indian parliament members. And even apart from that, trade and investment between India and Taiwan has been growing. You see more and more Indian company names in Taiwan now. And also more and more Taiwanese companies are realizing the importance of investing in India and engaging with the Indian population. We have a very large middle class. So I think these connections will increase.
And what more do you think can or should be done now to make that relationship even stronger on an official or people-to-people basis?
I think that on the official side, India is starting to warm up to Taiwan. There's a little bit of a conservative attitude, I would say, since we do have a big neighbor, and so does Taiwan. But this can be solved. I think we are seeing how other countries are engaging with Taiwan, and I think India could take a page from their book. On the Taiwan side, I think it is important for Taiwanese people to have a more open mindset about India and the Indian people. There are still some stereotypes and some biases. I would request my Taiwanese friends to have a more open mindset about India and get rid of some of those stereotypes that you see on the media.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave you with images of fireworks and fairs in Spain with the last supermoon of the year. I'm Erika Liu. Take care and see you next time.